This is the Cyclone 2 command. I've heard a lot of very good things about this ship. I've had the chance to see one in action a couple times, and I came to the conclusion that this might be one of the Velocruisers that I will fly for PvP. But first, let me see how the ship works, let me see the missile implants, and let me play around with the build on this ship. Basically the same thing that I do with most ships. Now the roll bonus will give the ship plus 25% medium missile torpedo flight velocity, and the ship can fit command burst modules, basically very similar to the other command ships. Advanced shield command bonus will give you plus 4% shield command burst strength, plus 6% skirmish command burst strength, plus 10% command burst effective range. And the advanced Velocruiser command bonus will give you plus 75% shield booster amount, minus 7% medium missile torpedo activation time, and plus 5% medium missile torpedo explosion velocity. So I think I will fit this ship for DPS, because the Cyclone 2 command is supposedly one of the fastest Velocruisers in the game, and I think it should be a pretty good speed tank. Of course, I'll see what I'll do with the build. Now the ship has one drone, 6 high slots, 4 medium slots, 5 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs. 35,000 is the overall defense. The Cyclone 2 command is a shield tank. Haven't really had the chance to see a armor tank Cyclone 2 command, but it's probably cursed if it's armor tank. The capacitor is actually pretty good, a little bit better than the previous two command Velocruisers. The recharge rate is 570 seconds, recharge rate per second 13.04. It can lock 7 targets, signature radius 181.1 meter, scan resolution 242, center strength 18.5. Warp speed is 3.7 astronomical units per second, and the speed should be pretty good. This is, I think, the fastest command Velocruiser, and of course I'm very excited to see how fast this thing can go. Now on to the build. So the previous two Velocruisers were built for tank, this one will be built for DPS. Now I have torpedo launchers, and honestly I'm very happy with the current DPS result. They have decent flight velocity, decent activation time, very good explosion velocity and very good explosion radius. I can definitely reduce that, and the missile range is 20.05 kilometers, which is actually very impressive for torpedo launchers. Now I have the shield command and the skirmish command, as well as one web and one scrambler. Both of the shield and skirmish command burst module are useful for a fleet, and also useful if you are solo. They do give some very important stats like shield, resistance, extra range on the webs, extra range on the scramblers, and that's very useful for solo PvP as well as a fleet. I have one medium afterburner, capacitor battery, large shield booster, and dual adaptives. Now if I were to use this ship for PvP, this would probably be the build that I would use. I like to use capacitor batteries and I like to use afterburners. And this is a close range ship with the torpedoes. Now with the rigs, like I said before, this is built for DPS, and this is a very similar build to what I had on the Ortus. Of course, you don't have to go with tier 4 rigs, you can easily use tier 2 and tier 3 rigs with the less expensive rig integrations. The difference is not that noticeable, although if you want maximum possible performance, then you should go with the best performing rigs and modules. So far I really like the combination, and the engineering rigs are focused for speed and they are focused on the capacitor. Now 55,000 is the overall defense, and of course, as we can see, the resistances are not looking that good. That's because this is after all built for... it's built for DPS, not built for tank. It should be a pretty good speed tank, we will test that out. Now with the command burst module, it's 79,000, almost 8,000 hit points, 61, 65, 74 and 78% resistance. The velocity is 1.2 kilometers per second, almost 1.3. The capacitor 1 minute and 20 seconds. Okay, let's turn on the skirmish command and oh, well, I guess I forgot to turn on the shield command burst. Now it's 89,000, almost 9,000 hit points, 65, 69, 77 and 81% resistance, 18,000 shield, which is actually pretty good for a ship that's designed for DPS. And now the skirmish command. Let's take a look at the... well, this is the same, of course, and the velocity is now 1,362 meters per second, which is actually pretty good. 15.28 kilometer is the scrambler range, got improved by 2 kilometers, and the web range is 16.45 kilometers. Now the extra 2 kilometers are very useful, especially if you want to have an advantage over your target. Basically you can orbit around them outside of their web and scrambler range, which should make them a very easy target. Now I did fit the micro updrive, although I wouldn't be using a micro updrive on this ship. I prefer an afterburner, but the micro updrive can also be very useful. Let's take a look at how fast this goes with the micro updrive. 2,690.08 meters per second. This is fast for a battlecruiser. This is ridiculously fast. Now let's take a look at the speed when the skirmish command bonus is active. It's almost... hold a second. The effect did not kick in yet. Let me... okay, now it's working. 2.9 kilometers per second, almost 3,000 meters per second. With a good nanocore, you can definitely make this over 3.5 kilometers per second. And this is... yeah, this is very fast for a battlecruiser. I can definitely see this ship being used like the Ortus, with the micro updrive and with the classic medium missiles. I think that should work for PvP, although if I decide to use it for PvP, I would still use the torpedo launchers. Now you can also use the classic rapid missiles. They have overall very decent flight velocity, very good explosion velocity and very good explosion radius, 27.54, and the range is 35.5 kilometers, which is also pretty impressive. This will kill frigates without a problem. Now the DPS is under 1,000, but that's okay. And I would swap the micro updrive for a afterburner with this build. And with the classic medium missiles, the DPS is 1,490.16. They have very decent flight velocity, overall decent explosion velocity and an okay explosion radius. Flight time 9.5 seconds, reload 10 seconds, range 62.25 kilometers. A pretty good range on the normal medium missiles. Now, this is definitely outperforming the Ortus at long range, and you can easily kill an Ortus with this Cyclone. Now, if you plan to run missions, then you can easily swap the adaptive hardeners into ballistic control systems, and that will give you a very decent damage bonus on basically all missiles. 1,500 DPS on the normal missiles, 1,100 DPS on the rapid missiles, which is actually pretty good, and on the torpedoes 1,700. Now this is some pretty scary DPS. I will not lie, this is some pretty scary DPS on the Cyclone. 2,100 once one ballistic is activated, and when the second one is activated, the DPS is 2,500, which is on par with a battleship. Well then, very interesting DPS output on this ship. And surprisingly, the defense is also not that bad, 59,000 overall defense. Now of course the resistances will not be that good, but it should last for a very long time until you have to warp out. 55,000, okay, 1.5 thousand, okay, let me do this again, 1.9 thousand with the medium missiles, and with the dual ballistic controls, 2.2 thousand DPS, which is okay for medium missiles. That DPS at 62.25 kilometers. This should clear missions without a problem. Or if you are in a fleet, then that should also be very lethal for PvP. And with rapid missiles, 1.4 thousand is the DPS with one ballistic control, and with the second one, the DPS is 1.6 thousand, which honestly is more than enough to delete most frigates, interceptors, and things like that. Overall, I would say a very ridiculous ship. Now, onto the implants. So, I've heard that the missile implants are not the best, although I'll be honest, most implants currently are broken and busted in the way of like being overpowered. So this is the Warhead charge. Now, it has two modes, a range extending missile mode and precision missiles. In both modes you will have reduced DPS, but you can increase the flight time and you can increase the explosion radius. Or should I say, you can reduce the explosion radius by 50%, which should improve the damage application quite a bit. And here you can take a look at the stats, minus 25%, 30%, minus 25%, and minus 50%, which is, I think, okay now. The general units are also focused on maximum possible DPS. Again, you can't stack two general units of the same type. This is the secondary attribute, EM Warhead. Basically, you can pick between the damage types. You can pick EM, thermal, kinetic, and explosive. And this is very interesting. This is very similar to how ammunition works. So, depending on your target, you can practically swap the secondary attributes depending on what you need. Some ships have holes on explosives, some have holes on EM, depends on the target. If you are shooting down shields, then use EM missiles. If you are shooting down armor and hull, use kinetic or explosive, basically things like that. Which is honestly a very interesting mechanic. Unfortunately, the implants are busted and broken, so while the idea is pretty good, and I honestly think that the missile implants are one of the more interesting ones, it is still broken because it's still overpowered, and it's breaking the game at the moment, if I have to be honest. But overall, that's how the missile implants work, at least this one. And of course, I did show you the other general units that I use. Basically DPS, tank, and capacitor, that's what I try to go for. Hybrid charge, basically you can combine things with special missiles, and that is interesting. In theory, it can boost your DPS even further. Now we have the other implant. Let me just quickly find it. It's support projection, I think. Yeah, that's the second one. Now, this implant is very similar to the first one. You also have this same skill, I would say, that can swap between range missiles and precision missiles. Basically, the same attributes, the same stats, which is okay. The first one seems to be alright, I guess. And here is where things get interesting. Now the missiles can impact your target's velocity. It can also impact your target's inertia modifier. So basically, imagine that your missiles are webs. When your missiles hit the target, you web the target and you slow them down, which is again a very interesting mechanic. Very interesting idea that's implemented a little bit in a weird way, as a lot of players would say. These are the general units that I use, again focused on missile DPS, missile explosion velocity, and again things like that. EMP Warhead, alright, so this will neutralize your target's capacitor. Well, okay. And ECM Warhead, it can turn off modules of your target. Now this is evil. In the heat of the battle, this might actually be a very deciding factor, because sometimes players forget to look at their modules, and if they not notice something working, then you have a higher chance of winning. And the hybrid charge is the last skill here. Overall, the missile skills are definitely, the missile implants are definitely interesting. Unfortunately, the implementation is what's not good, what needs to be fixed, nerfed, and overall balanced. Well then, let me actually show you how the missile implants work in combat, and let's take a look at how the Cyclone 2 command actually runs. So, I did pick torpedo launchers. This is the DPS build with the dual ballistic controls. This is the build that I think I will actually use for PvP because it looks interesting. Now, you can swap between the precision and long range missiles, and of course you can swap the missile damage type. And let me tell you, that's a very evil rate of fire. Okay, that's... Okay, well, first I got caught by surprise. Did not expect to see this thing spitting out missiles so quickly. Also, very nice attention to detail. Every missile damage type will have different missile animations, as you can see. These were the kinetic missiles, and they have that kinetic look. Well, this Dominic's is definitely not having a very good day. The missiles are shooting so fast, it reminds me of the heavy assault missiles from EVE Online. I think the torpedo launchers are supposed to be heavy assault missiles. 991 EM damage on the torpedo launchers. Let's now swap to another damage type. I think I picked kinetic and EM. So you can basically pick between two damage types. Yeah, I have kinetic and EM, okay. So later I'll have to swap into thermal and kinetic, thermal and explosive. Now it's important to know where the resistance hole is located on the target. I believe that Galante ships have a hole on explosive and kinetic, so in this case I should use kinetic and explosive missiles in order to inflict the maximum possible damage on the target. In PvP, this can be countered by a reactive shield hardener, because they're pretty good at deflecting damage coming from coming from weapons that have one or two damage types. Now this will also affect your DPS based on how you change the missiles. The missiles will have a 350% damage boost when you swap to a single damage type. You can also swap back into the normal damage, and of course you will notice the extra damage application in the precision mode, and you will definitely notice the extra range if you pick the long range missile mode. Now, I really wish that other implants were as interesting as this one, because I'm actually having a very good time flying the ship so far. It's surprisingly fun to learn how the missile implants work. Definitely a lot more fun than the broken barrage implants. Oh man, I think the barrage implants are the definition of broken. Like, if someone talks about something being overpowered, the first thing that comes to my mind is the barrage implant. That thing is, it's so broken it's not even funny. And I'm not really sure what the developers are doing. It's obviously broken and it obviously needs to be nerfed. So, back to the Cyclone 2 command here. You know, surprisingly, this thing actually shreds, and I did expect this to run really well, but honestly I did not expect it to be this good. This is one of the most satisfying ships that I did fly so far. 2,300 DPS, okay. Now, you can combine the effect of the missiles, and you can even improve the DPS even further, as you could see me on the start with the EM missiles. Usually they have 749 damage, but when you combine the effect you can get 991 damage with the current build on this ship. And the rate of fire seems to be improved as well. 2.83 seconds is the activation time on this ship. Very interesting. Currently I am using kinetic missiles, and they seem to be doing really well. Now, EM missiles melt shields. Thermal basically does pretty well at shield and armor. Explosive and kinetic does pretty well for armor and hulls, which is important, especially in PvP. So I think I will have a lot of fun with the Ortus with this implant. I still haven't decided on what implant to get on the live server. I like to fly the Macarial, I like to fly the Ortus, Statius, and this ship. Now it's the DPS is 2,100, okay. $991 damage per missile. And as you can see, when the missile is boosted, the missile animation is also a lot brighter, a lot different. That's how you know that the missile is working at maximum performance. And I think it's a very nice attention to detail. Basically that's how you can see that you have your implants set on the right way. And so far I am going through these ships like a hot knife through butter. The speed tank on the Cyclone 2 command works really well, although in PvP you don't have to worry about your armor or hull or shield, because most ships will be dead very quickly. This thing can actually go up against faction cruisers and win without a problem. It can kill Yashimo, which is one of the best 1v1 ships, and I'm pretty sure that it can go and fight with battleships. Just look at that rate of fire. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. This Megatron is not going to be a very happy Megatron very soon. Once the dual ballistic controls are activated. Oh, 3,100 DPS. Okay, that's very nice. The effects are so well made. It's such a shame that it's so broken. You know, the more I test out these things, the more I start to appreciate the graphics and everything, but at the same time I'm also very sad to know that there's so much broken with these implants, because you can see that there's a lot of effort put into the game, and this is actually fun. I'm actually having a lot of fun with the Cyclone 2 command at the moment. I haven't expected the missiles to be so ridiculously fun. You know, I think this ship could replace a battleship in high sec without a problem, just because of the fun factor. I'm having more fun flying this than flying some battleships into missions, honestly. Now once you have set the damage type and once the missiles are boosted, you can basically leave the implants like this, and basically you can focus on shooting down the targets. Now if you have to change, that can mostly happen when the target's damage type, damage hull or resistance hull is different. Then you have to make sure that you set the missile implants the same way in order to ensure maximum possible performance. This is really ridiculous. I'm just surprised, did not expect this to be this much fun. I'm also very happy that I started with the torpedo launchers. I initially thought to start with the normal medium missiles and orbit with the microdrive at 50 kilometers, but I had decided to go into brawling mode with the afterburner and with the torpedoes, and honestly I'm very glad I did. I wouldn't find out that this is so ridiculously fun. There goes the battleship. Let's go after the small ships. Even the frigates take a lot of damage from the torpedoes. Now the torpedo launchers are good for cruisers, battleships. They're basically designed for big ships. They can struggle if you don't have good skills for them, if you don't have good rigs for them against small ships like frigates and interceptors. For interceptors, frigates, and frigates in general, rapid missiles are basically the best option because of the very good explosion velocity and explosion radius. Against everything else, well, you can use this and you can spam missiles. Like, just look at this. I don't know, this is so... You know, this actually reminds me on what ship, I forgot, doesn't matter actually. But this is how heavy assault missiles feel in EVE Online, basically like this. You launch them one by one so quickly. And the mission is actually done. That was quick. That was extremely quick. Now let me go and quickly swap the damage types. Let me take different missiles. Explosion warhead, okay, and let me pick the thermal warhead. This is the kinetic one, this is the thermal, okay. Set active, and the skill is active, okay. Alright, well, let's continue. I'm also very excited to see the effects of the explosive and thermal missiles. Okay, let me go after the battleship. Okay, let me quickly swap the modes. These are the explosive missiles. Okay. My apologies, these are the thermal missiles. And yes, they are boosted as you can see, and they are... Yeah, this Hyperion is not going to have a very good day. 991 damage, okay, 20.5, 1.94 seconds is the activation time, ridiculous. The DPS is 3.1000, okay, that's actually pretty nice DPS for a battlecruiser. Okay, let me go and swap into explosive missiles. Okay, now the missiles are explosive. Let me just swap modes into the boosted explosive missiles. Okay, Let's focus on the next target. I think it should be set. Okay, it's not set. It takes time to get used to the missile implants. They're definitely a little bit different, but that's what I like about them. Okay, this is definitely explosive. Now I just have to make them boosted, and then the DPS would skyrocket. Okay, that was quick. I think I did do the right thing here. Yes, no I didn't. Okay, 733, not 991. Definitely needs the modes need to be a little bit more clearer here. Okay, now it's set. Now I just can focus on eliminating the ships, and unfortunately I did go out of range. I forgot to click orbit, was too busy setting up the missiles. This ship literally spammed missiles. I think that's pretty hilarious actually. And the fun fact is, I could make the DPS even higher if I was using a third ballistic control. But I need the capacitor battery, so I use 2 of them. I think this is basically the optimal build for command battlecruisers. Dual damage mods, 1 capacitor battery, 1 afterburner or micro overdrive, and 1 armor repair or shield booster. Depends on the ship and depends on the tank. Okay, well my primary target will be the Dominix, because why not? This ship is so fast, webs don't affect it that much. And this Dominix will be bombarded by the missiles right now. The missiles are just coming in one after the another. Now this is, I don't know, I think this is very nice to look at. I haven't had the experience to see this, so just look at this. This is ridiculous. This Dominix is getting deleted. Oh man. Can you imagine what this can do in PvP? Can you just imagine seeing as a lot of players don't move their battleship when they are running missions or storyline missions? You only have to have a tackle ship or a scout that can find you the perfect warp in. You warp at practically 0 from a sniping battleship, and you just delete them with your DPS. This is something that will happen with the implants in the current state. I know a lot of players who have level 45 implants at the moment, and they're very successful in PvP. Let's just keep it at that. Especially the Macarial players with the barrage implant. Oh man. Not really sure who thought that it was a good idea to bring 40,000 DPS on a battleship. I still can't get over it. Although I'm pretty sure that it will be nerfed. So that's why I'm not, panicking about it. And it's super rare to find one. And you can technically counter it, but it's still very ridiculous. So, these were the fastest 30 minutes that I did in a very long time, because this ship is so much fun. I think I already have decided what battlecruiser I will fly. Usually, I don't really fly battlecruisers, but the Cyclone 2 command will be a big exception to that. This thing is ridiculous. I think I've said that like 50 times by now throughout this video, but this thing is fun. It really is. once you actually start flying it, I think you will understand what I'm talking about. The torpedo Cyclone to command versus torpedo Tortoise. Which one will win? Well, I think my money will be on the Cyclone. The Tortoise can't take such damage. While the Cyclone can take such damage, but you know, it has the speed, and overall it does run really well with the afterburner, while the Ortus is not that good with the afterburner. It's actually pretty slow. Let's quickly delete the Hyperion. 3,1000 DPS, actually pretty good. Should be able to delete cruisers very quickly. I know that Yortos with 2,500 DPS is already deleting ships. This will delete them a lot faster. Now, I think the main issue would be the capacitor, because only one capacitor battery to maintain the tank, and of course to maintain the capacitor. Although I'm not really sure if adding a second capacitor battery will do much. I also thought about using Nosferatus, but did not have enough power grid for that. If I end up using a Nosferatu, then I have to sacrifice the Shield Command Burst module or the Skirmish Command Burst module, and I need both of them. Surprisingly, the Command Burst modules ended up being very useful for if you like to fly solo. They're pretty useful. In a fleet, the effect will be used to its full potential, but even for solo it should run really well. I'm also talking about the Skirmish Command, because the extra 2 bounties that you get from the module for webs and scanners is really important for PvP. Most ships, with the exception of Serpentis and Blood Raiders, don't have such long-range webs. In some cases don't have such long-range scramblers and points. Now, let's take a look at how much this ship costs, because why not? I'm very curious to know how expensive is this very overpowered Cyclone to command. You know, I really like this ship so far, and I think I'll be flying one. I don't know. Really surprised at how fun it was flying this thing. I think it's actually the equivalent of the Claymore or Sleipnir in EVE Online. I kinda forgot which one it was, but I think that's the equivalent of this ship. Okay, gate gun has been tackled, and any second now I got yeeted. Alright, nice. Well then, let's take a look at the kill here. 31 billion, well, not bad. I expected a little bit more, but 31 billion, yeah, it's pretty nice price. The loot drop wasn't that good, but yeah, I'm not gonna complain. Alright, well, that was a very fun run with the Cyclone 2 command. This thing is insane fun. Honestly, I did not expect this to be this, but yeah, impressed by the Cyclone 2 command, impressed by the missile implants, although still wish that the implants were a bit more balanced, but I think with time it will be fixed, and with time I think everything will be balanced out. So with that being said, hope that you enjoyed. Stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.